Welcome, everybody, to our latest episode of Distant Intimacy. I'm Curtis Shoemaker.
And I'm Craig Kikowski.
And we are joined today by a requested guest. We had a request for this specific guest. And I believe they said, when are we going to have Evita Perón, the redhead from New Jersey, on our show? Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Jennifer Piech Papsberg. Jen Piech. Way! Welcome.
Thank you. I'm talking to you from the Poconos.
Poconos. Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Little jigsaw puzzle hideaway you got going there.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean it's great. There's not a lot of people here either, so we are able to get out easily every day, walking around, and that's been nice.
Oh, I can imagine. And unlike me here in New York, you're not walking along seeing rubber gloves and masks all littered on the street everywhere that you go. You actually are within nature,
Yeah, there's not a lot of people even if walking with masks, though there are some, but the grocery store, of course, we're all masked up and got my surgical gloves and all that.
Well, welcome to Distant Intimacy, our show about those of us from 85 to 95 at William and Mary. And now your big debut that I remember is sophomore year, Evita on Symphonicron as Eva Perón. Had you done anything before that, freshman year, before Evita?
Can't really remember, to tell you the truth. I really can't remember. I think, wasn't Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, maybe? That was before that? I think that's where I met Jen Catney freshman year.
Oh, was that, that was Covenant Players?
Covenant Players.
Church? Yeah, that was right. So that might have been, yes.
So that might have been, but not, I don't think, on the main stage or the studio or anything like that. Not that I remember, but it's all a blur. It's a long time ago, Curtis.
Hey, I got pages and pages of notes here. Let me tell you, I can go through, because also, of course, you were, I believe, Anything Goes, Bonnie. Was it Bonnie?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, again, I had the joy of directing you as Anita in West Side Story.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
That's
Mrs.
right.
Peachum and Three Penny Opera.
Oh, my wife, Mrs. Peachum.
We're husband and wife.
Yeah.
Yes.
Although I probably blocked that production out the most of any at William and Mary.
I have distinct memories of that production, and I think it's because of the pictures that were taken. Like, I remember the two of us arm wrestling back at one point. We were like twisting each other's arms. I remember a trash heap Uncle Sam with a big phallus or something. It's like weird images that I remember from that.
I would think the Uncle Sam would haunt your dreams. Like, how do you not get that out of you?
Oh, Bruce.
Blocked them right out.
Bruce. So you came to us at William and Mary from Cinnaminson, New Jersey. And what do you remember most about everything at William and Mary? The theater, what are your, obviously, there was the famous relationship that lasted and still lasts to this day of this. We all know this relationship here. The two, Jen and Jen in the Nut House. But what was it for you at William and Mary?
I remember we toured a lot of campuses, and then I remember walking on that campus, and I suddenly just felt like these are my people. I think I'm supposed to go here, and I hadn't felt that any place else. And I applied early decision, and the rest is history. But I feel like I went in thinking I was a business major. In my first summer, I worked for IBM, and hated it, everything about it. On my low level, it was like so stressful. And then the next summer I did summer stock. I think didn't we all used to like carpool to SETCs and straw hat auditions to get summer stock work? I remember doing that a couple times. I booked different shows at different theaters. And my first gig was up here in the Northeast with Bucks County Playhouse, Pocono Playhouse, and Falmouth Playhouse. They had like a 3-ring circuit. You were in one of 3 companies, and then you switched shows and you went to the next theater. And my first contract was for $50 a week. And it was awesome. So from IBM to that, I thought, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Do you have
So
one show, one moment that stands out for you at William and Mary?
one show, no, but I have like snippets. I have like Three Penny Opera was so horrible, it was great. So that I have particular memories of. Certainly West Side Story and Evita, of course. And what was it? Anything Goes. I remember this is one of my children who
You
just
got
turned
Zoom
18.
bombed.
Yeah, child. There we go. There we go. There we go.
She just turned 18. She had a quarantine birthday.
Oh,
That was
nice.
yeah.
Oh, so
I
after
lost
William
my
and Mary, you came to New York?
right after we graduated, I got an acting intern position at the Walnut Street Theater, which was a year-long position.
Okay.
And we worked in the education department. We performed in shows in the public schools, and then we taught kids in the classroom. We understudied the shows and got our EMC points. We were in the shows if we were cast. That was magical, and so I learned so much there. And then from there, I moved to New York. You know, did the living on someone's sofa for a year until I could figure out my own apartment situation.
I saw now the first big mention of you in the New York tabloids or papers is the off-Broadway musical Lust.
Yes, that transferred from the Walnut Street Theater, and I got married during that production too. I was doing that. I got married in that production to Carl. I'm married to the same guy, 25 years, like just coming up on 25 years. We were going to go to Paris. I've never been to Paris.
no.
We were going to go for a long weekend.
So
We'll go next year. It's okay.
So getting married for lust can work out then for some people.
Yes, we got married on a Monday day off. And then he had to fly in from Chicago because he was an assistant company manager at that time on Victor Victoria, which was doing their out-of-town tryout in Chicago prior to coming in. So we both happened to have jobs that were out of town and looking to come in. So that was pretty great. So we got married on a Monday. We said, I do. He said goodbye, got back on his plane, finished our runs. And then we finally and then we took our honeymoon like a year later.
Wow. But then that led to obviously the great Titanic, which
that's
debut.
That was amazing. That was such a gift. What an amazing group of people. We just had a Zoom conference call because it was 23 years this past April where we opened on Broadway. 23 years ago. That sounds so crazy.
I mean, the cast was just. I mean, Becky Baker, David Garrison, Michael Cerveris, Brian D.R.C. James. I mean, up and down the line, it was just
everybody. Marty Moran. I mean, Henry Stram. I mean, these people that are, so brilliant in everything they do. It was like it was such a loving company, and a lot of life stuff happened. And we feel like we survived something crazy too, because the whole preview period it was too big a show to try out of town and work out the kinks. And we had crazy technical things happening. So, after the show every night, we had to stop the show like 5 to 8 times. The show's 4 hours long. Stuff just wasn't working. And so every night, and I didn't even know this at the time, maybe because I was young and green, but I hear stories that all the, the writers, Peter Stone and Maury Yeston and the director were just fighting, yelling, screaming in hotel rooms all night long. And then we'd come back and we'd implement, people would get new pages. And then sometimes the orchestra would know something. Sometimes all of a sudden it was just a piano or trying out this other song. It was crazy. But then when they started putting in the things that actually worked, we're all backstage like, oh, that's the moment that worked. We're all crying. The crew was crying because everybody's thinking we have jobs, for a while now. You just never know.
Oh, so it was like Spider-Man turn out the lights that worked out,
Yeah, right.
I mean,
yeah,
because it won the Tony for Best Musical. It was on Broadway for a couple years.
Tonys
5 Tonys.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, and we ran for a little over 2 years.
Did the movie
So
open while you guys were on Broadway?
it did, like a year into it.
Okay.
And we were like, "Ooh, what's that gonna do?" And a lot of people did not understand. Well, is this, are you Kate? Are you Kate? And what's his
What
name?
were you? I mean, were you Kate Winslet? Were you the inspiration for her
No,
performance?
that's totally no, because she was a first class lady. I was a third class
Oh,
Irish.
okay.
Totally different.
Okay.
You
So
didn't get to sing "My Heart Will Go On."
no,
No,
but would you have made room on the door for Leo? That's the question.
would you have? Of course.
Okay. That's
Yeah. We did a spoof of that. We did for like Broadway Cares Equity Fights AIDS, like the Easter bonnet competition and so forth. We would all do these spoofs. And we did like a Rocky Horror version of Titanic, where the captain, comes down the gangplank, and when he bevels out of the corner, he's only in fishnets and whatever. So we got to do it all there.
Oh, that was when I was looking through and I came across this. I didn't realize that you then did your next Broadway show was The Ride Down Mount Morgan by Arthur Miller, starring
Yeah.
Sir Patrick Stewart, the father-in-law of another
Of
William
Mary.
85,
Wow.
95,
I
Mary
got to see her
Stillwagon.
then. And I just saw Mary in London, I guess, what was it, like a year and a half ago, because Come From Away, Carl and
Right.
I are producers on that. It opened in London, and I was like, I have got to see Mary. So she came in, and we got to coffee shop catch up. So it was so wonderful.
In that show, in The Ride Down the Mountain, which is a straight play, not a musical, but
Correct.
because you are both.
Ride Down Mount Morgan. It was his last original play, as opposed to one of his many
That's what I was right.
revivals.
But did you
Yeah.
actually get to meet and work with Arthur Miller during that
Yes,
production?
he was there through the whole rehearsal period. And who else was in that show or working on that show? Beth Clancy was the costume designer for that.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And in doing some research on this, it came to my attention, a big article in the New York Times, how after you'd open, in the middle of your run, during the curtain call, Patrick Stewart steps out and gives a speech eviscerating the Schubert organization and the producers.
Yeah.
While you're standing there saying they're not getting support, they're not getting the press, that's why the show's not doing well, and had the support of Arthur Miller. What was that like to stand on stage during that?
I never want to do that again. It was, we were blindsided too.
Okay.
But he's the star. He says whatever he wants. He was feeling what he was feeling. It was awkward.
Well, the show ran on for 2 more months after that, though, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think he was frustrated that the houses were not full. It wasn't. I think Arthur Miller aficionados would say it wasn't probably his best play, and it's certainly not a classic even now. I mean, you don't ever see it again. So it just wasn't getting the volume of people that I think for a limited run. It was a 6-month run. That was all it was ever going to be. And I think that was really just to everybody, I'm sure, to the Schuberts too, to Arthur Miller for sure, to the actors. I mean, Patrick's a big old star. And so I think the hope was he would fill the house regardless of the name recognition of the piece, itself. But it's crazy shows, Kurt.
Show business. I know, show business.
I'm sure he made even a bitter harangue sound beautiful with his mellifluous voice.
Listen, yeah. Now, do you have a? We've been talking about people talk about moments. Do you remember something in rehearsal or just a moment with the great Arthur Miller that just sticks out to you from that process? Either a note or just something fun, with Arthur Miller.
I just remember kind of sitting. We were all like all the understudy. I was an understudy, but we also played like little roles in the show. So we were just hanging on his every word, like during text, sitting out in the house, watching and just listening to everything he had to say. I don't remember one in particular though. I just remember we were so thrilled to be in the rehearsal room and then, and then in the theater with this great, pretty magical.
Oh, I can imagine. Now, you've also done some TV and film. You are labeled as the redhead with Ed Harris in Pollock.
Yeah.
Little
I got
flirtatious there.
paid to flirt with Ed Harris, kind of smooch on him, and then
Yeah.
get knocked over by Marcia Gay Harden. And I was like, I don't think that scene's going to get cut. I think that's going to be in.
You
I
have
was
to win an
really
Oscar.
Yeah.
You got an
Yes.
Oscar for that.
Got
Yeah.
a lot of it. And you know what's funny too? I remember we went to, F Foods. You sat at the tables with everybody in between takes of that. And I remember, what's his name? Who is the tall guy in Pollock? One of his art friends. Oh God, I can't think of the actor's name. That's terrible. Anyway, I can't think of his name. I'll think of it. It'll come out at some point. But I remember him saying at lunch, you were in Ed's shot. And I was like, no, I don't know. This is my first film. I have no idea what you're talking about. So it was supposed to be, he was directing, it was supposed to be the close up on him. And I'm like, well, I'm going to, like a theater rehearsal, we're just going to keep doing this thing over and over again. And so I was all, in there. And apparently my big old face wasn't supposed to be in his solo shot, but I didn't know. And he didn't tell me. He's the director. So I hear it at lunch, you weren't supposed to be in that shot. It's like, didn't know that.
Oh.
Was it Val Kilmer?
No, it was God, no, I can't think of. That's terrible.
He was in it as de Kooning. Jeffrey Tambor was in it?
Yes, Jeffrey Tambor. That's who it was.
There you go.
Yes.
No. Well, that's because he wanted to be in that shot instead of you, I think, based on his later career,
Sure.
And who I think did that one? I felt like I did a Law and Order, I did a Della Ventura, and I did that all kind of around the same time period. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Kim Wilcox was on the costumes everywhere I went. I was like, Kim Wilcox is here again. She does everything. It just so happened that on the few things that I did, there she was again. Like, that's awesome.
Yes, you were also with Danny Aiello in Della Ventura, his short-lived TV cop show. Series.
Yeah.
Now,
that was during Titanic. So right. I got a lot of, when you're in something higher profile, you just get seen for things, which is, I'm having trouble getting seen for things now that I'm back in the business. So I'm having to start over in many cases. But so that was awesome. He was so generous and lovely.
Well, you did take a big break, obviously, because we've seen The Reason Why. Just walked by, earlier.
Yes, that 18-year-old thing. Thing 1 and thing 2. Thing 2 is almost 14.
Going off. But you've also still now, I believe it's accurate to say, a Tony-nominated Broadway producer.
Yeah.
So Come From Away, sensational. It seems like a grassroots musical. It's touring the country. I was shooting something in Canada, and I walked by the theater and Come From Away was there. Not right now, obviously. But do you? Oh, is she going to come back? Oh, there. Do you feel that the music or the message of that is? It really seems like it hits home with what we're going through now, and the charitableness of people. The humanity of it all.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like. Because we're in that space where you think, oh God, these little theater companies and even the big shows, like, who can hang on through this? Because we don't really know how long. We don't know when we can start up. And then all the costs to starting up, it has to be re-rehearsed. It has to be re-teched. So who's going to be able to survive that? But the message of Come From Away for sure will resonate, because as you said, it's about kindness in the face of this horror, just human to human kindness and love. And so we hope we hope, and we're planning that it will come back fully everywhere. We had 5 companies. So the Broadway, the national tour, Toronto, London, and Australia, all of which are not doing anything, but we hope that they all come back.
Amen. you know, for everybody. But you're also producing. I've seen you were developing a two-person show, War Party. I've seen a reading of War Party from the Fringe Festival. What else have you got going on besides, you know, producing Broadway, raising children, and you know?
Well, I'm trying to figure out who I am now. Coming back to the business has been wonderful in that, I mean, it's hard and it's wonderful, but I'm sort of discovering, well, who am I now? Where do I fit in? And what stories do I want to tell? And I'm finding that the stories that really resonate for me have kind of a social thing that they're dealing with, and or just particular stories that resonate for me. I mean, the stuff that I'm coming back to is just so much more interesting than when I left, because of what I'm, now it's these complicated marriages and, mothers of adult children. And it's just more complicated and gritty and wonderful. And I've been, back in class trying all of that on. So as an actor, I'm slowly finding, I think, where I fit in, and figuring out, what the business is now. It's very much online, and it wasn't that way when I left the business. I still had a black and white actual photograph, when I left the business. So, yeah, so I'm still figuring that out, but I'm also looking to produce film. I worked with Laura Carson. I was a producer on her short film, and that won a lot of awards, including a playwriting award for her beautiful work. And I'd love to do more of that. And she writes the kind of stuff that I'm interested in. She also has a play that I'm very interested in. It could be a play, it could be a short film. And there are other, I'm also dealing with a parent with Alzheimer's. And so I'm always reading. I have a girlfriend who's dealing with the same thing, who's a beautiful writer. And she just wrote a funny little short about that. I'm like, I am producing that. On the other side of this, I am producing that, because it's so horrible. You want to laugh a little bit too, because it's that horrible. So I'm discovering what those stories are, but as an actor, like, I'm not singing at all now, even though I made a living really doing musicals mostly, because that's where a lot of the work is, and that's where the long work is. The multi-year runs are usually musicals and not plays. But what I'm drawn to now are plays, the smaller plays with interesting social things. So the War Party that you referred to is two women, an older woman, me, and a younger woman. And it's political and it's funny, but it's also these two broken people who find each other and sort of heal each other and moving our country forward, because our country is a wreck right now. So it says a lot of things to me that need to be heard, and, need to start a conversation, I guess.
Yeah, because when I left the business and came back, I was coming back to what I should have been doing in the business all along when I was a kid. You came back from like playing people finding first love to trying to keep love alive. Right.
I remember you freshman year. Wasn't that when you did Fool for Love?
Yeah, I played an 80-year-old man. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we were like, who's that dude? And then people were like, he's a freshman. We were like, he's a freshman too? My God.
Yeah. But I just had to mention how.
Yes, and I haven't seen your episode yet. I haven't started that series yet. I can't wait to see your episode, Kurt.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, my family's like, wow, it's creepy Uncle Kurt. I'm like, all right, thank you. Yes. It's my jam.
Found his niche.
Yeah, exactly. I found my niche. Yes, exactly.
I'm going to remember that.
Please do.
And Craig, I have loved you in Drunk History. We all watched that, even though we probably shouldn't have been watching that with our children. We all watched them together and love them. And there's a guy in that cast, because there's a cast of you got regular people on that show. One of them looks just like, do you know Jimmy Ludwig? He's Mark's buddy who does the they do the drunk, what is it called? The drunk history. No, the
yeah,
the happy hour guys. Mm-hmm. I thought Jimmy Ludwig was on your show. He's got a doppelganger, the skinny guy with the dark hair.
Oh,
Do you know
probably
why
Benny
he
Arthur, I think, is probably the guy on Drunk History. Yeah.
Yeah, I was so confused for so long until I finally bumped into Jimmy on the train. I was like, "Is that you on Drunk History?" He's like, "I wish that was
I
me."
wish, yeah, I wish. Oh,
Well, thank you for watching. That's so nice.
Oh, we love it. You kidding?
so Jen, do you have any memories of, as we start to wrap up, because we can go on all day, about Dr. Palmer? We talked about Dr. Palmer, Christian. Obviously, we talked a little bit about Christian before we started rolling. But anything about recent Dr. Palmer? I remember anything.
Dr. Palmer, I mean, I just smell a pipe when I think of him. You know, I just think of his pipe and he was just so warm and loving, like a bear and the pipe, the smell of the pipe. Like that's what I think of. You know what you've never mentioned on any of these? Chris Bowl.
Chris Bowl, yes.
Chris Bowl with the clogs clogging around, and all the girls were like, "Oh,
yes.
he's so dreamy."
I actually
and then he moved to New York and was at Playwrights.
He was at Playwrights and Williamstown Theater Festival before them. Yes, we haven't. I think he's in New England now, retired, with his daughter. We had Chris Paul has not come up. You're right, but he should. He certainly was. He actually was my advisor.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he was actually my advisor, and I really enjoyed my lighting design classes with him.
Nice.
Yes. So, Jen, as we wrap up here, we've been asking everybody the same question. Unless Craig, do you have anything anything you want to ask us, or anything?
I was going to prompt you to ask the final question.
Okay, sorry. Okay. So, as we've been asking everybody, so Jen Piech, Papsburg, Jen Piech, the redhead. If heaven exists, what do you want Trish West to say to you at the pearly gates?
Can I explain my answer before I answer? So when I took her class, I don't know if it was costume design or what it was called, I ended up having to pattern a long skirt for Miss Tracy Lay and the Three Sisters. That was so hard, out of like green wool or something like that. So I would hope that Trish West would say, "No patterning required." Come on in.
Excellent. And it
awesome.
plays on so many levels. No patterning required here. Oh, well, Jen, sorry, we got that. We ran long. So Jen, thank you so much. We are running out of time as always. And I want to thank you for joining us on Distant Intimacy. And everybody, stay safe out there, please. Okay? Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.